Welcome to Softech Coding. This is the 16th episode of our Coding with Scratch series. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm continuously going to make videos. Welcome back to those who have already watched past episodes, but if you're just beginning to code, I would highly recommend starting from episode 1. And if you could please also share this video with your friends and family, that would be great. Alright, let's get started. So, today we are going to be making a Pong game. Now, a Pong game is a game with 2 paddles, a ping pong ball, and 2 players, which are trying to keep the ping pong ball in the balance between the 2 paddles. Now, let me just get the 2 paddles. The paddles can be found in the sprites section. So we're going to go choose a sprite, and if we search paddle, we have the paddle. Now, let's say this is your paddle, and we need one other paddle for the other team. Choose a sprite. We're just going to go search, paddle, and it comes up. And I'm just going to delete the scratch cat. Or we can pretend the scratch cat is the ball. So let's say the scratch cat bounces off of yours. If it hits the other team's wall without hitting the paddle, the other team loses a point. Alright? But if you manage to hit the ball with your paddle, then you get a point. Alright? That's how the game works. So we're just going to delete this. So you're trying not to let the ball touch your goal or your side, all right? So let's choose a ball for us to play with. How about this one? This one's a nice one. Color changing too. So here we have the ball and our 2 paddles. Now what we need to do, the first thing we need to do is for our paddle, when go is clicked, all right, which one is this? This one, whenever you click on a sprite, you see, look at the paddle, there's going to be a blue sort of highlight around it. So now we know it's this one. So here we can do bottom paddle, and we know this one is the top paddle. Oh, I'm just going to bring it back. So I'm going to bring it back, paddle, and this one is going to be our top paddle. All right? So now, when green flag is clicked, we want our bottom paddle motion. Now, the center of the stage is 0, 0. All right? So if I do this, this paddle goes exactly in the middle. Now the X, as you can see by the symbol around it, beside it, is the horizontal, the placement horizontally, and the Y is the placement vertically. All right? So now if it's at 0, 0, that means it's at the very center. But if we do 0, as in it's in the middle horizontally, but we can do this to, for example, negative 160, you can see that, and the height, it's negative 160. This is the middle, it's 160 places lower. But as in horizontally, it's in the middle. It's like, think of it like a grid. There's actually a grid here. Yeah, you see the XY grid here. So, oh, it didn't work. Let me bring it back here. Oh, that's weird. It's not selecting it. Well, I'll just bring another one. Grid. As you can, oh, it brought them now. That's strange. So you see, this is X0 and Y0. The most you can go to the left or the right is 240 or negative 240. All right? And the lowest you can go is negative 180, and the highest you can go is 180. So whenever you're having trouble, this grid has all of the measurements you need. This is the 200. So like, for example, if you go to this paddle here, bottom paddle, you can see X, this is the X, is the orange, X, negative 100, and Y, negative 100. So we're going to press go. See, this is the negative 100, and this is also negative 100. So the X and the Y are both negative 100. So if you're ever having trouble with the X's and the Y's, you can pull up this grid and have a look. But right now we want our X to be 0 so that it's in the center, and our Y to be negative 160. Oh, 160. All right? So we're going to put it back here. And same with our top paddle. So I'm going to click on it and do Control C or Command C and put it here, except we want the Y to be 160 this time because we want it to be positive and going up. Think of the negatives as taking away, going down, the positives as going up. So here we also, now they're both on the 0 line and they're almost at the end. So I'm just going to choose another backdrop because we don't want to have this as our backdrop for the game. So let's choose a backdrop. Let's see which one we want. How about this neon tunnel? This looks cool. So a cool thing we can do with this backdrop. So there's like this little block part here, but if you want to make it a never-ending tunnel, all you have to do is select here, copy, and paste, and just make this smaller to the size of this. So now you can click here and zoom in. So now if you make this fit in here, then this becomes the next part. So now you see it looks like it's going even deeper. And if you paste it again and you make it even smaller and you zoom in and you put this in that little square section there, then it gets even smaller. Oh, need to move it a little bit up. You can use the arrow keys to help you adjust it. And then that's pretty small. So now you see it looks pretty never-ending to me. And you can finally add one more just for the fun of it. Now it looks really never-ending. We just have to make it really tiny. And then finally we add this one, which is the smallest of all. Alright, now there's pixels. But that's what you can do, and now it's a real never-ending tunnel, and it looks really cool. And I'm also just going to delete these other backdrops that I don't need. Alright, we're going to go back to code. So we want our bottom paddle and our top paddle to be different colors. So if we go to looks, we can have a set color effect to, we can set it to 50, alright? You can set it to whatever you want, maybe 50 or 20 or maybe 80. Let's see what happens. We're just going to see what it looks like. Oh, that's a purple color. It matches with the outline. So I think I want to keep it at that. But you guys can choose what you set your color effect to. All right? Actually, it kind of blends in. So let's try maybe like, I don't know, 100. See what happens. It turns more of a pinkish color. What about 150? A yellow. I mean, not bad. 200. Back to green. So I think that, let's try the 50 and see what it looks like. That's a blue. The 100, it was this color. I think I liked the 80 where it was a purple. But you guys can experiment and see which colors you like. Alright, so now what we need to do is when green flag clicked, we want forever, and we need 2 if blocks. Alright? So if it's easier for you, you can code it outside of the forever and then put it in there. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So we can go to sensing and we can say key space pressed. And instead of doing, we do this instead of the other block. So then you have to attach them. And we do this instead of when space key pressed, because this lets you hold down the button and it's less laggy. This is for like more professional coders. Alright, so when key space pressed, well, we don't want it to be space. We can do it to be the left arrow and the right arrow. Alright, so from our grid, we know that changing X changes the way they are horizontally, right? So we can add a change X by block. So if we change our X by 10, let's see what happens, all right? So when we change your X by 10, it's going to become positive, so it's going to go this way. And if you change your X by negative 10, then it's going to go the other way. It's going to go to the left. And if you ever need help or you don't understand, just bring back the grid, and then you can look at it, and then you can remember, okay, negative 10 goes left, positive 10 goes right. But after a while, you'll remember it. So I'm just going to make one of them negative 10. So we know that the negative 10 goes left, so the positive 10 goes right. So now this is okay. So now what we did is forever, if the left arrow is clicked, we go this way, and if the right arrow is clicked, we go this way. Now let's see if it works. Yep. So as you can see, when I'm pressing the left arrow, we're going into the negative 10s and we're going this way. And when we press the right arrow, then we're going this way. And it's very smooth because you can hold down the keys and it works very nicely. Now what I'm going to do is actually, I'm just going to click on this piece of code and I'm going to do Control-C or Command-C if you're on a Mac. I'm going to go to the other paddle and paste it. Except we don't want them to have the same keys. Otherwise, they're going to move at the same time when you're using the left and right arrow. So what we want to do is use two other keys. Now, usually WASD, if you look at those keys on your keyboard, they are the keys used, other keys used for gaming. So W as in goes up, A for left, D for right, and S for down. So we're just going to use the A and D keys instead of the left and right arrow keys. So here, now, when I do A and D, it goes left and right on the top, and the left arrow and the right arrow, it goes left and right on the bottom. So this is the first step for our game. So now what we're going to do is we need to start the code for our ball. So our ball, when go is clicked, we want it to first go in the very middle. We want it to go. So what was the very middle? That's right, it was 0, 0. That's the center of everything. All right, now if we press go, it actually goes in the center of the void, so it looks kind of cool. So then, what we're gonna do is we can wait 1 second. Then what if we make it say 3, and then 2, 1, 1, and then go. All right, so then we can do this for maybe 0.5 seconds because we want it to be very fast. So we're just gonna Control A selects it, and then Control C copies it, or Command C, Command V, Command V, Command V, or Control V. So now we can see if it works. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, it's a bit too fast. Let's just leave them all at 1 second. 3, 2, 1, go! So then we can start the game after our ball says that. So then after that, we want our ball to start moving. So we need to start it moving. So what we do is, first thing we need to do is point in direction. So we can make it point in a random direction. So let's see, where was the random? Here. So here, if you put this here, pointing direction, pick random. So let's see, we want it to start from 0, right? So 0, and then we want it to be able to do all of them, right? So we can do it from 180 to negative 180, because that's all of them, all right? So we can do 180 to negative 180, and then we can make it start moving. Stop this. So we're going to point in the random direction, and we're going to do this. Control forever if, actually we're just going to do this for now. For now we're just going to do move 10 steps, and here if on edge bounce. So now 2, 1, go. So as you can see, our paddles, they move, and our ball also moves. But we have a problem right now. And that problem is that when our ball hits the paddle, it doesn't bounce off the paddle. It sort of just goes through it or over it. So we need to fix that problem. So the way we do that is this. Now, if you don't want to add it here, then you can just put it on another, but we can add it here. So we can add two ifs, one for each paddle, all right? Or we can just do one if for both of them, because you know what we can use? Operators, this, or, all right? So we can go to sensing, if, and we can put two touchings inside of it, all right? So if you're touching the bottom paddle or you're touching the top paddle, then we want you to motion, turn 180 degrees. And the reason for this is when you're turning 180 degrees, it puts you in the complete opposite direction. So we can try it. So you see, this is where we're pointing right now. It points in the opposite direction. And if you choose any direction, you see we're pointing that way. Look at this line. It should continue to the other side. You see, it points in the complete opposite direction. All right? That's why it gives the illusion that it's bouncing off, because it goes in the opposite direction. All right? So if we're touching the bottom paddle or we're touching the top paddle, then we're going to turn 180 degrees. Now this is going to cause a bug, so I just want to try it out and figure out the bug with you guys so that you guys understand what's going on. So let's just get the ball with the paddle. So then, it seems to be working quite nicely. But sometimes, actually, there's no bug. As long as, okay, the bug only comes then if in operators you try to add a pick random. So if we do, like, for example, 170 to negative 170, so that's going to be from here, see? So we have 170 is here, all right? And negative 170 is here. So it's going to about like randomly do it. So we're going to try it out and see if there's any bugs. You see how it gets stuck on the paddle? That is a bug that you want to avoid. That's why we're not going to be doing the pick random one, and we're just going to be doing the 180 degrees, which avoids all bugs. All right? So now we have a game, but the problem is that we don't have any points. I mean, sure, you can hit the ball with the paddles and it bounces everywhere, but it doesn't exactly do much. It's not really fun. So how do we figure out how we're counting the points? What we have to do first is go to Paint, and this has to be in the very middle. It has to be in 0, 0. All right? And we take out a rectangle and we put it all across the bottom. You have to make sure there are no gaps and it completely covers it. You have to make a new sprite and do the same thing, except this one we want to cover the entire top. Now remember, if the ball hits the top, all right, it's 1 point lost for the top paddle. And if the ball hits the bottom and not the paddle, then it's 1 point lost for the bottom paddle. So what we have to first do is name these. So we can do bottom boundary and top boundary. Now the thing is, all right, we don't want the player to see these, but we want to make sure that they're still a tiny bit visible, so that when the ball hits them, that we can reduce a variable, all right? So what we have to do is when go is clicked, and instead of doing hide, so we have to use the ghost effect. So the ghost effect works like this. So for example, if we set ghost effect to 50, it just becomes more transparent, all right? And if we set the ghost effect to 99, then it's almost disappeared, but not quite. It's still 1% there. Now, if you want to see how the ghost effect works, I'm just going to do it here so you can see on the ball. So look at the ball, all right? If we set ghost effect to 20, you see how much more transparent it is? Set ghost effect to 50, it's halfway gone. 80, mostly gone. And if we set it to 99, it's pretty much hidden. all right? But it's still 1% there. So in the code, it still counts as not hidden. And we're just going to do the same thing here in the bottom boundary. So now what we need to make are the variables. Now we need to click on Make a Variable for all sprites. And this one can be, for example, greens points. Now you guys can change these according to the colors that you guys chose, and purple's points. All right, so purple's points can be down here. So now what we can do is actually, if you right click on it, just do large readout so that it's just the number so that it doesn't take up too much space. All right, so now what we're going to do is if the ball is touching the bottom boundary, we want to give the top person 1 point and take away a point from the bottom person. All right, so if we have to go to control and forever, or else it's not going to keep on checking. It's just going to check one time and that's it. If we wanted to keep on checking throughout the game, then we have to put it in a forever block. So I'm just going to zoom in. If touching bottom boundary, where is bottom boundary? Oh, since we're on bottom boundary, I don't think it's gonna show. So then we can just take this code to click on it. Okay, wait, we just don't need this part. So since we're on bottom boundary, it's not gonna show. So that's why we need to put this code in the ball. All right, so when go is clicked, forever. All right, if we are touching, I'm just going to zoom in and move it here. So if we're touching the bottom boundary, see now it's here. That's why we need to go to the ball so that we can get bottom boundary. So if we're touching bottom boundary, then we're going to go to variables. So first we need to go to, when green flag is clicked, we want to set both of their points to 0, because we're also going to be playing on the points from the last game. So we're going to reset everybody's points. If you're touching the bottom boundary, then we are going to change purple's points. Remember, purple loses a point. So we're going to -1. We're going to subtract 1 from purple's points, and we're going to change green's points by 1. Remember, change means add or subtract. And if it's just 1, it's going to be thought of as a positive 1. All right? But if there's a negative beside it, that means you take away. Just think of it as adding unless you add a subtract symbol. All right? So then we're going to add 1 point to green's points because green successfully got purple to lose a point. And then we're going to go to the next one. If you're touching the top boundary, then we're just going to switch them. All right, so now all we have to do is add 2 more ifs. And if it's touching the bottom paddle, and if touching the top paddle. All right, and if it's touching the bottom paddle, then we want to go to variables and give, we're just going to first put 2 changes. Now remember, the bottom paddle is the purple one, and the top paddle is the green one. So if the bottom paddle manages to catch the ball, we want to give them a point, and if the top paddle manages to catch the ball, we want to give the top paddle a point. So bottom was purple and top was green. So now we're going to test our code and see if it works. So we're going to see if when we touch the ball paddle, so you see, isn't that strange how the purple one, even though we touched it, it's not giving any points to our player, and something's seriously gone wrong. So to fix that, we need to go here. So we're going to go to control and add a wait block. So here, we're going to make it wait 0.00001 seconds, all right? 0.00001 seconds. We want it to wait a very short time, but in computers, this is long enough. So once the computer knows, all right, the ball definitely touched this, because that's a very long amount of time in computer times. Now, if you make this 1 second, it's going to change the points by 1,000 or something, all right? And you want it to just change by 1. So this should be about enough time. And then, once it's waited for 0.001 seconds, we want it to quickly move away from the paddle so it doesn't add too many points to our points ledgers, all right? Just enough time for 1 point, not enough time for too many points, all right? So let's see if it works. So let's see, the ball is coming our way. Oh, yep, I got it. See? Now I'm going to try the new game to see if it still works with the green one. Alright, so it's moving its way upwards. Yep, oh, it gave it 2 points. See? That's why I'm going to make it a very, very short amount of time so that it doesn't give more than 1 point to the player. Yep, it gave 1 point. Oh, yeah, it's stuck in there. We got our ball stuck in the corner. But other than that, I mean, if that does happen, then consider yourself the winner because you've gotten very, very lucky. But other than that, the game does seem to be working. It does seem to be going correctly. And when the ball hits the paddle, it does give it 1 point. Yep, you see we got negative 1 point there. Oh, we're losing points. But then we're getting points once we go. Yep. And we seem to be working. Let me find. Yeah, you see we're just slowly increasing our points little by little, and it's working perfectly. So thank you for watching and making this project with me. We have lots of more videos and other ones are coming. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and share this video with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next video.